So this is a surprise StratSide. We're literally done within 10 minutes. Falco, this is like what, the second time you showed up in chat, and after watching your after watching, well, I have it in my notes, but I watched a very particular in its outfit war. So I watched a very particular stream of yours where I was like, all right, man, you're doing it. You're getting it done. You're contributing. And I'm very impressed with the way that you were contributing and at the time, let's see, I'll have it here in a second, but at the time, were you a color caster or a play-by-play most of the time?
Well, I could probably get more into that during the strat side, but I mean, I normally will just fill for whatever needs to be filled. So like I'll have some co-casters that I have, like they'll be like play-by-play. Sometimes they'll be color. And I'm just kind of like, all right, well, if someone's being way too analytical, then I'll just go ahead and shout absurdities.
Okay, so flexible.
You know.
Flexible.
Yeah, I try to flex as much as I can, so.
All right, we're going to go ahead and skip the countdown and go straight to the part where you and I are showing. I need to recharge my wine glass. Okay. So, StratSide 13 was going to be StratSide 13 with A-Flick, which is going to happen Tuesday. However, as we were doing this StratSide for the Community Management Simplified, Falco appeared for the second time. And I asked Falco, hey man, what would you say to just, doing a StratSide with me? He was down for it, and now here we are.
Let's do it live.
Yeah, let's do it live. So, this is it. Because Falco, if you don't know, he has been one of the casters for Outfit Wars 2022. And definitely caught my eye by the way he not even color, he casted. He was a play-by-play, he was a color. The way he was contributing to the overall real-time Outfit Wars as it unfolded. I really like the way he approached things. I really like what he was after. And so, yeah, just asked him on. Now here we are. So we're going to go straight into slide 2, the agenda. We'll go over the normal disclaimer, the normal scope of the talk, introductions, and then go into the discussion itself with a wrap-up after that. So disclaimer, Falco and I, we speak for ourselves. Falco, do you speak for anyone else? FYI, I don't really know you very well.
Fuck no.
No? Okay.
Absolutely not.
We speak for ourselves. And then, scope of the talk. This is just a discussion between people who play the game. What it isn't, didn't really think of anything about what it isn't. It's like, it's not a trap. I'm not here to corner you. Just a talk. That's all. So that's the scope. And then, let's get into the introductions. Falco, who are you? Who do you play for? What's your story?
Yeah, so I'm Falco. In game, I'm better known as Falco Arnold. I used to play a lot for the wildcards on Connery. I was one of their head leads at the time.
Wait, what?
For probably 2.
You're the wildcards? Dude, on the Devil Dog. Keep going.
Yeah, I was with them I was a lead for them for about like 2 to 3 years. I was basically Rumble's right-hand dude for a lot of the time. And I especially had to step up once news got out that he went blind and had to have a lot of help with things with running the outfit.
Literally blind or metaphorically blind?
He went literally blind. So he had a medical situation that happened, and part of that included him going blind in both of his eyes, more or less.
Oh,
so
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so I kind of had to fill in for about a solid year before I was like, Rumble, love you, but like I got my own shit I got to do too. So then after I left, I was with Resurrected for a little bit, which was basically $1 recursion, and then I left the rest. Connery? This was still Connery, yeah. I was Connery throughout the entire time of me on PlanetSide. So I was in Resurrected for a little bit, and then I played with Recursion. I wasn't in Recursion, but Resurrected, we would be really close with Recursion. And then we would also play with DPSO. And then once Resurrected started to die off a little bit, then I joined DPSO with Slatter for probably about a year. And then I rejoined TWC for a little bit because of DPSO is cool, but I have so many close friends in TWC. So I rejoined them for a little bit, and then I left them, and then I joined BRAC probably about a month or 2 months ago. So
gotcha.
Yeah, here I am.
So your BRAC now, is that still Connery?
Yeah. Still Connery.
Still Connery. Right on, man. And we'll get into the discussion parts about how you got to where you are. Okay, cool. So you've been playing the game for how long?
I want to say. So when did the record smash happen? Because I remember seeing banners of it on the launch.
2014-ish, I think.
2014. Was it on December-ish or something like that? I forget.
I don't remember. I can pull it up though. So
all I remember is that one of my friends kept on telling me to play PlanetSide 2, and I wasn't really into it because he convinced all of our friends to get Battlefield or whatever and get premium, and none of us hopped on ever afterwards. And then so after a while, I caught wind that PlanetSide 2 was doing a record smash kind of a thing. At the time, I had no idea what PlanetSide 2 was exactly, aside from Battlefield on steroids. And now I'm I told all my friends, they got this shit going on where they're going to try to get on the Guinness Book of World Records or whatever, so let's hop on, not knowing how to actually get into it. I thought I just logged into the regular live production server and that's it, but apparently, that's not how you do it. So, nah. So, but then I went and hopped on, and then within about a month or so, I joined TWC2 with Rumble. So,
gotcha.
That's probably 2014, 2015, maybe.
So the article came out January 2015. So I imagine that we did it December 2014.
Yeah. So then I started playing around 2015 then. January 2015. Yeah.
Okay, cool, man. Cool. I'm Lanzer. NCC Connery, Devil Dogs. Been pretty much that most of my career. A little bit of stint of Hostile Takeover, a little bit of Crazy Carnage Gaming with other people, but vast majority of the time, Devil Dogs, Connery the whole time. And PlanetSide Battles is one of the founding members and been engaged with it. The Guinness World Record was one of the things I was heavily involved with, as well as the rest of the PSP admins. And yeah, that's pretty much me. I've been a casual Combined Arms player most of my time as a PlanetSide 2 player.
Cool.
Yeah, that's me. So let's get to the discussion. So one of the things that I noticed when listening to you, and I pulled some of the things I saw when you were casting with Trulius and Eskrinox. Is that
Eskrinox? Yep.
It was the Unity vs. VCATS game, and then there was also the ISV versus AODR when you casted with Deeg. There was the Sammy, which was what I was playing in, Sammy versus Wildcards, which now I know is one of your bros, your boys. You're casting with Trulius again and Eskrinox, but then you started casting in week 3, the Recursion FIFA. And also, the one that I particularly cued in on was the Unity vs. VCATS. I want to say rematch.
Viking.
Was it
Not
Viking?
VCATS, Viking?
Oh, that's right. V1KG, Viking. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Where you had the preamble, and we talked about that.
Yeah.
So, let's start with, how did you get into casting? What was the road to that?
The road was very long and windy, and it involved talking to a lot of people and basically meeting a lot of friends, making a lot of friends. And it all started with basically my first, I guess, interaction with PlanetSide outside of PlanetSide is kind of the best way to put it, because, as anyone who's been on Jaeger or is aware of Jaeger, it's kind of like you got live, and then you got your Jaeger guys, who sometimes will go between both, and then, there's the off population of Jaeger where it's just straight up Jaeger mains, I guess. I don't know what's up with that, but that's kind of the the joke is that you have just Jaeger mains. But in any case, my first interaction was basically hearing about Community Smash 1, which was not Server Smash or Clash or any of those other older tournaments. So it was specifically, I forget if the first one was held by Corliss, but basically I had heard that they needed some new organizers, and at the time I was cool with Eskernox, who was one of my co-casters for this season of Outfit Wars. He's a leader of the Bloodraven clan who is close with Reltor, who was in PSB. So after participating in the first Community Smash 1, I heard that they needed some additional people or some additional staffing. So I went ahead and I'm like, I'll go ahead and sign up. And
where and how did you hear this, by the way?
It was a while ago, but I think
like,
I was in their Discord. It was in their Discord, and then I remember they said that they needed some additional staff or whatever. So you have CS staff, and then you have CS org. So then I'm like, all right, I'll just go ahead and sign up. No big deal. If they say no, then they say no. I'm just a casual anyway. So so I went ahead and signed up, and then I became staff. And for anyone who has participated in a Community Smash, you know that Corliss kind of pulls a majority of the weight. So I wasn't sure what I was doing there, and I kind of felt like useless because I'm like, I want to help out and do stuff, but I'm not being told like what I need to do. So that basically entailed me making some hype material, I guess is the best way of putting it. So I always felt like Community Smash events, you know, though they're basically a 1v1 with like upwards of anywhere from 500 or 600 or 700 upwards up to like 1,000 people within one map, kind of going at it against each other, one-on-one team style. And so I'm like, that's kind of an epic deal, at least I'd like to think. So I went ahead and I would make like these trailers just kind of as like hype material leading up to the actual event.
Video editing stuff. Okay.
Yeah. So I'll do like video editing, and the thing is that in addition to that, I'm not to toot my own horn, but
that's okay. You're
pretty musically inclined. So
sure.
I've been actually classically trained like as a kid. So
me too.
Yeah, so I was classically trained. Then I went into high school, got a 5 on the AP Music Theory test without studying, and then afterwards, like I never decided to take up music as a career because it's just kind of one of those things where it's like I don't want to have my hobby become like my source of income. And
sure. Wait.
Although,
why is that? Why do you not want that to happen?
I had past experience where I was at one point a interim music director for a church, and the thing is that I was their substitute pianist like when I was in high school. Because a lot of when it comes to like churches and stuff, a lot of it's like volunteer work, and so I'm like, you know, I went to private school, and this is the church that I used to go to as a kid.
Yeah.
So then I'm like, you know, my parents were just like, yo, go ahead and help them out. I'm like, okay, cool, I guess. So I went ahead and helped them out. They would pay me a little bit. And then once, after a while, their head director was like, yo, I can't deal with any of this anymore, so I'm a dip. And so I went ahead and I stepped up to the plate to be like an interim for basically, you know, like the winter season, more or less, of like 2019 or so.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a bit of a mess because there's just... I feel like there are some people who will understand what I mean by when I say this. When you're in the music industry, people don't know how much work and effort you've had to put in to get good. And it's very much a case of like when you're paying somebody, you're paying someone for all the years that they've put in, not necessarily just the 1 hour that they're helping you out with.
Yeah, so, I think I saw a quote about that sometime. It's not that you're like, whether it be you're a carpenter, or you're a music director. You're not paying for the rate that they are now. You're paying for the time and effort they put into master. It was like, you're paying me the dollars that you are to do it in 5 minutes versus the 5 hours it would take you.
Yeah, and for me, it was a thing of when when they didn't put me under their payroll for, you know, when I was just straight up volunteering, they're paying me X amount, and then once I started helping them out as an interim music director, which entailed me having to set up scores for each week, and then also in addition to that too, directing multiple different choirs of multiple different skill levels and age groups, upwards of 5 different choirs, you know. And then once we got into like Christmas season, where everything kind of gets batshit crazy.
Yep.
You know, I'm basically doing music every day after I get home from like my primary job. So,
what is your primary job, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm a lab tech. So
you're a
that's
lab
my primary
tech?
job. I am a lab tech.
You're a lab tech who is classically trained. All right, continue.
Yeah. so like and this was like, you know, I'm coming back home, I'm doing all this shit, and then when I was interim, they paid me half of what they used to when I was putting in way more work, and I'm like, this isn't fun anymore. Like, I'm not having fun playing the piano anymore. I'm not having fun making music anymore. So then after that, I basically quit and I just stopped. I didn't touch like any sort of like musical instrument or anything like that for a solid year. And then COVID hit.
What were you classically trained in? Remind me.
Piano.
Okay.
Yeah, I was classically trained in piano, but like as most pianists, like they'll generally branch off into other instruments because all the other instruments become way easy once you pick piano up. So I picked up like clarinet, saxophone, and guitar. So, so with that kind of a background, I then was all like, maybe I can go ahead and make like shameless plugs of myself and just like make music and just insert them into these community smash trailers.
Yeah.
So then that started to become a thing. Yeah, which is what I did for Outfit Wars. So then, you know, after that, after I started doing stuff for Community Smash and making hype material and stuff, we had Community Smash 10, which was our biggest. It had the most amount of pop that we've ever pulled, which was about like I think 1,000. It was like 1,100 something that came out for that event, and I was like, all right, well, you know, that's a large amount of people. I am graduating college. I want to move on with the rest of my life. So,
what was your field of study?
Biochem.
You continue to amaze me. Classically trained lab tech with a biochem emphasis. All right, continue.
Yeah. So I'm like, you know, I'm graduating college. I gotta get going with my life. So sayonara, fuckers.
That's right.
So, I mean, they still have me listed as an org, but I think that's more or less because Corrales is way too lazy to change the role.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So then after that whole thing, people like Reltor started messaging me about like, hey, you know, I've obviously since we've organized Community Smash together and since you've always like plugged your trailers and stuff, I need help with this Lane Smash season coming up. Do you think you can help me out with like a trailer for that? I'm like, give me like a solid month and I'll have you like a theme song and everything and all that shit. So then I got that going and I made that for him, and there was a video, a meme of that someone made where it was basically like, it's Saturday, it's Saturday, what does that mean? And then it's like, it's Lane Smash weekend, and it was basically like they spoofed like this anime scene of like anime girls who were just like in this bedroom, and then they were watching like a TV show, and then they edited in the intro that I made for Lane Smash into the TV screen. So that was kind of funny.
And then my old server Smash intros were just like this fade in, fade out of the different server names, and then like, I don't know, CCR and Kiss songs. Some of them were copyrighted instantly, but I still have them on my YouTube video of like back in 2014 when I would do the intros. Simple fade in, fade outs, but yours seems much more advanced.
Yeah. So then I worked on that. And then a couple of months passed, and then one of my buddies, Hydrosa, who is a part of TWC2, he wanted to, when Bastions came out in PlanetSide 2, he wanted to do this thing called I think it was called a Bastion Smash or something. Yeah. But he wanted to do. I remember. He wanted to do it on. Yeah, he wanted to do it on live on Connery. So then, so he was like, "I need your help with hyping this up." I'm like, all right, I got you. So I went ahead. I asked PSB peeps for an obs cam. I got an obs cam. I tried to get as much footage as I could of like bastions just raining down chaos in like Indar or Amrish or wherever. And then I tailored a theme song for that. Then we uploaded it onto YouTube, and then he posted it on Reddit on Connery on the Connery subreddit. We got some dudes to catch wind of it. The event was more or less a pretty big success on a live production server, if anything.
It was a huge success, man. I remember
exactly.
Being everywhere.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool. And then fast forward a little bit more into Outfit Wars, and for a while I was just always kind of like, in my head, I'm like, what if I just like started casting? Because like I always thought it was kind of cool whenever like I would watch like the Community Smash streams, and then you'd have like Gelos, or you'd have Farah who would be casting those matches, and I always thought that's really cool.
Casters of all time.
Exactly. Yeah, Farah. Yeah, exactly. So I'm like, you know what? That'd be
before
cool.
Farah was me and Alleluia, and we were objectively terrible casters. All right, objectively. I remember one time, I still think about it to this day, I was casting some random server smash match, and I remember the comment, some dude in Twitch was like, oh, Lanzer, the most terrible. I'm like, motherfucker, I'm trying the best I can. And then
I feel it.
And then Farah comes along and changes the game when it comes to play-by-play casting. And ever since then, Farah was the one.
Yeah.
Continue.
So I'm like, that'd be kind of cool. And then, so I joined the Outfit Wars team that PSB was putting together of like casters and stuff. And me just being me, I'm like, well, this might be a good time for me to like plug my shit, like all my music and all the shit that I like doing, just to put my name out there. And then Reltor reached out to me and was like, hey, or he didn't reach out to me. He went into the chat and he said, hey, is there anyone who would be able to cover like this Connery match? I forget what match it was a while ago. And I just was like, if no one else steps up, I can go ahead and cover it for you if you need me to. So then he gave me the green light, and I just went in, and I went off on tangents for however long that Desolation match went. And when I say tangents, it was just more so me just going on random streams of thought. Just kind of casting like that, which I guess was good and bad. Good in that there wasn't a lot of dead time, always having noise in there, but it was bad because I would never really give my co-casters an opportunity to actually like talk. So yeah. But ever since then, it was just a case of, volunteering more and more and more and more, and now I'm just chilling as, I guess, one of the main Connery casters. So yeah. That's the long, windy, twisty road that led to casting. Hold on, I can't.
So now that you're a caster in general, let's talk about.
There we go.
What is it like casting for PSB? What is it nowadays?
So, casting for PSB, there's a lot of freedom. And the reason why there is a lot of freedom, as Varunda has told us in the past, a lot of us are volunteers.
Wait, first of all, tell me the hierarchy. You said Varunda. Is he a key player in all this?
I would say that I don't know what position he holds in PSB. Everyone knows that he's put in a lot of work with getting the back end of our streams going.
Work. Yeah.
With getting all the stats up. With Hanu, Hanu's basically his baby. So, I just kind of always viewed him as like my go-to guy in PSB. Like if I needed like some kind of clarification on something, I'd go to him. And he would always have some kind of an answer for me. Yeah, casting for PSB, Varunda has told every single caster like, yo, you're a volunteer. So you do you within reason, of course. And there are some casters who, they don't have a lot of spare time, so their streams would end up being like very simple, which is totally fine too.
Yeah.
And then there are other casters like myself where I'm just like, all right, if I'm gonna put on a show, I want to put on a show.
You want to go all out?
Yeah, I want to go all out. So Varunda has been super cool with like letting me just kind of do my own thing, although he also admitted to me that talking about shit for 15 minutes was a bit much, which I also agree with. So you know,
I want to get to that, but not right now.
Yeah. So basically, long story short, there is a lot of freedom, and it's always a pleasure casting. It's always a pleasure casting for PSP. So,
you know, that makes my heart warm. I'm glad that PSP is still in existence and it's still going, and that people want to try and be a part of it. That's awesome, man. Keep going. What else?
Yeah. I think also too, everyone that I've interacted with in PSB in terms of like, you know, looking at streams and critiquing and giving feedback, I haven't really received too much feedback, but a lot of people have been very polite. A lot of people have been able to give constructive criticism and not sound like an asshole doing it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people who are very thankful for me and also obviously all of the other casters who have put in their time to do their thing.
It's a thankless job at times, and
it really is.
If no one's ever said anything, man, I appreciate what you do. I thank you for putting in the time and research it takes to be aware of what's happening and then being able to comment on it in real time.
Yeah, no, it really is a thankless job. So it's very selfless, and like for me, I would love to participate on a match on Nexus, but like because I'm just kind of casting all the time, I don't really like, you know, I'm not giving myself an opportunity to do that, which I'm okay with, so long as the casts that I do are somewhat memorable. So, you know, if the amount of effort I put into casting leads to a good product, I'm also totally fine with not really like participating in Nexus, because I feel like also as a caster, you are in essence kind of participating in the story of the match that's happening on Nexus.
Yeah.
So
yeah, exactly.
You know, I'm still a part of it. It's just I'm at a different position. So,
right on, man. Would you say that there's any and not to air dirty laundry, would you say that there's anything negative? What's challenging about working with PSP and the casting events?
Honestly, I don't really have anything that comes to mind.
Okay.
Because you
don't even miss not being in the matches?
I mean, for me, not really.
Me neither, man. I enjoyed being a part of it, like, just in the way you said.
Like, because like I've participated in prep for events and matches, both in terms of being like a lead for like a team, and also just kind of as a general participant. And I absolutely fucking hate the prep. So it's kind of like I don't miss thinking about all the variables that could happen going into a match. And I feel like it's just kind of like I enjoy just not being aware of what's about to happen and just soaking it all in as a caster and just as someone who's viewing it. So I don't really miss or feel too much of a want to actually be like a participant, an active participant in like a Off It Wars match.
I felt kind of the same way when I was doing my StratSides with all the different people. Is just being there, watching it happen, to me fulfilled the need to be involved. And when I was a caster, when I was a referee, when I was fun police, whatever it was at the time, just being a participant in the overall cycle, that met the need to me. And I didn't feel like I needed to be more than that. it was a weird feeling because I didn't expect to be like that. I thought I needed to be like in the action.
Yeah, I mean, you can get into the action with an obs cam. So
You certainly can.
and you don't have to worry about dying. You don't have to worry about dying or clicking heads. You're just there watching the chaos happening. So, you know.
So why do you do it? Why do you continue to be a caster?
There's a couple of reasons. The first reason is that, as most people have said on your StratSide interviews, streams, whatever you want to call them.
Both.
Both. I just love the game. You know, and it's funny because I say I love the game, but like there are times where I don't log in for like a solid month or two because I'm just burnt out. But I love the game. I love the community. I love the effort, the effort that the devs put in to a game, knowing that they're constantly being criticized 24/7 for every single minute detail that they put in.
Like, this rock is in the wrong fucking place.
Yeah. It's like, and for me, I'm just kind of like, y'all don't understand how difficult it must be to be a game dev for PlanetSide 2. Not to say that I've ever been in that position, but like, as somebody who is a lab tech, like I'm working behind the scenes in healthcare, and everything is like thankless, and sometimes there's shit that happens, and then it's like you hear stuff being said about like your company or whatever, and I'm just like, y'all don't know what the fuck I have to deal with for 10 hours each day. Like, this is
do you understand that
sucks.
that you existing, just the utter amount of work that I have to put into your survival? By the way, shout out to Steve-O in the chat right now. Steve-O has been a huge player studio. Like, I've known Steve-O for years. We've talked on many occasions. And my man, I'm glad to see that you're still around, because I purchase your stuff all the time. Used to be a big player studio like contributor. Anyways, I'm sorry, continue.
No, that's fine. So yeah, I love the game and all of the memories that it's brought me. One of the beautiful things when it comes to PlanetSide 2, and I've talked about this in some Discord servers where it feels like people are kind of all like, why the fuck do I even bother coming back to PlanetSide 2? And I'm just kind of
right.
Like,
that is the question nowadays. Why the fuck do I even bother?
And for me, it's just kind of like, well, what was the point to begin with? Because it's a sandbox. And I've always, whenever there's like, sometimes Rumble will do like platoon lead shit, and not platoon lead shit, he'll do platoon lead workshops for like newer guys who are like trying to learn how to platoon lead public platoons, which is a massive undertaking. When you're taking people who you do not know, both in your outfit, also outside of your outfit, you don't know if they're gonna like wreak havoc in your platoon, and you're trying to make a good experience. And I've always told people that if you're a platoon lead, it ultimately doesn't matter if you win the continent, lose the continent, take bases, lose bases. You are the primary driver for the gameplay experience for 47 other people.
That's right.
And the reality of it is that when you have squads that are open in squad browser, you are telling people, I am open to taking you in to give you one hell of a time in this game that we call PlanetSide.
That's right.
Because when you think about PlanetSide, like, what else is there to do? You shoot people, you capture bases for other people. They want to go ahead and construct bases. And the thing is that that's all fun and dandy, but unless you give some additional context, it's just rinse and repeat, shoot, die, respawn, repeat.
And then when they leave, it's like, do they even remember you? Do they remember anything about, other than to have like, hey, that was a cool experience. I don't remember the dude that was leading me, but whatever. Like, I used to do a lot of public platoon leading in Devil Dogs all the time, and it was that same experience. It was public platoon leading for the sake of doing it, introducing others to the game, and then at the end of it, they don't ever remember me, which is fine. It's all good, but
yeah,
it can be like that sometimes.
Yeah, and then it's just kind of like, you know, for me when I first started platoon leading for TWC, like for what it's worth, I feel like TWC is a great outfit.
I do. I've always enjoyed. I mean, I went up against you all today when I was in my solo classes. You had warp gated us like not even 2 hours ago.
Yeah, and it's just like, you know, even though I'm not a part of their outfit anymore, it's like I love all the dudes, but as a platoon lead or at the time when I was an outfit lead is also kind of a massive undertaking where you are both trying to listen to constructive criticism outside of your outfit, because not only are you in charge of providing your outfit content in game, but you're trying also to not make it suck for everybody else in the map.
Yeah, it can be a tough be a tough line to straddle.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like, you know, that was one of those things where it's like I don't want to do, you know, 47, 48 man squads anymore, dude. I just want to do my own little fire team of friends that I like playing with and just leave it at that.
It's almost like preserving your own health at that point.
Well, it is. Well, it is what it is, because there's so many people who are so into like wanting to platoon lead, and then they do it for like 1 straight week, 2 straight weeks, 3 straight weeks, and then like something happens where someone like tells them off or something, or maybe like they're just constantly losing every single alert, and then they're just like, fuck this, and you don't hear back from them for like a solid month, and then they come back, and then they go at it again, and then they're like, fuck this again. And they're like, why do I even come back? You're doing it to yourself.
Yeah.
So,
well, in a way, Stevo was in the chat. I thought that of Stevo for a while because he had contributed so many things. Like if you look at the player studio, if you hover over some of the cosmetics, you'll see Stevo's name. And I always thought for a while, like players like that who contribute tangible things to the game, what happens when they reach the end of their rope? Do they see that and be like, man, fuck this. I'm done with this. But then I see him again here, like, this is almost like a reunion in chat, where, dude, it's really good to see you again. It's good to see things like this happen again. How does this even work? And where you were talking about contributing as a caster and the sandbox is what keeps you coming back. But what are the things that led you to wanting to cast Outfit Wars in the way that you did?
I think that was the second thing that I actually wanted to touch. And I think when it came to contributing as a caster, it allowed me to contribute to what I believed is the core driver of gameplay on PlanetSide 2, which is the people themselves being the content. Where it's like, yeah, we shoot different kinds of guns, we capture different kinds of bases, but the people are creating different stories as they are playing. Where you'll have people who will talk about things from like years ago, where they're like, "Oh, do you remember that like 2-hour capture that we did over at like TI Alloys or whatever from like 2 or 3 years ago?" Like memorable things that people like always talk about whenever it's like, you know, late night 7 or like midnight with like their outfit mates. Mm-hmm. And the idea of stories and PlanetSide to me just always it's like you can't have one without the other when it comes to PlanetSide. Like in PlanetSide, there are things that will drive a story, and the story itself will also drive other things to happen. Like you'll like there's some muddy parts of that. For instance, you'll have outfit politics that happen.
Yeah,
that's still a story though. And sometimes like after things kind of die down and cool down, you'll look back and it's like, that was some funny ass shit that we did. where like there's people in TWC2 will always talk about like how things were back when T42 was around. Or you got people in BRAC who will always talk about like how things were when Badger Squad was up in T42. Or you got Badger Squad. Or the thing that I brought up in chat yesterday when you were with Chuck Baller, Castrol Accords, which if you're on TR, that shit fucking sucked. But if you're on NCNVS, you were fucking laughing your ass off.
Honestly, at one point we noticed the difference. I've been in NC that whole time. I didn't even notice that we 2v1'd. I don't know if
at one point we called ourselves NATO
armor player or what.
Yeah, so like, like there's things that happen where it's like sometimes it sucks, sometimes it's hilarious, but you'll always look back at it and I'm like, damn, that actually happened.
It actually happened.
So as a caster, I always looked at it as a case of I can push and I can share a story that's happening and go over a story that's happening in the match. So one of the stories that I was trying to push a little bit, very subtly, in the bronze match with Viking and Unity was the fact that it was a rematch, and the fact that when they first went up against each other, I believe in week 2 or 3, Viking clapped them hard. Viking came in and they warp gated them,
But not so the second match.
but not so the second match, which so happened to be the more important match for the it was the championship match, and it was just seeing that happen before my eyes and thinking like, okay, how can I make this like be epic, and like how can I have the VOD for this have replay value? And so I was just kind of like, when things started to really heat up towards the end of the match, to the detriment of probably Eskrinox and Trulius, I'm like, fuck this. I'm just gonna go ahead and go full play-by-play and just go as fast as I can with casting, and just try to share as much detail as I can see, and just go hyper big turbo mode. And it was just kind of thinking on the fly and trying to make those moments a lot more memorable, give emotion to it, and kind of give a lot of suspense for the ultimate resolution, which was in that case Unity beating Viking in the rematch in a bronze match after suffering a warp gate earlier on in the season.
Gotcha.
And,
okay.
And I think one of the things that I kind of take inspiration from is the fact that I am a longtime wrestling fan. Maybe not hardcore, but I used to watch a lot of WWE SmackDown, a lot of Raw when I was growing up. There was a rule that we had in my household back when I was like 4 years old, where you don't tell grandma the Undertaker is fake. So like a lot of the voices that I grew up listening to, like one of them was Jim Ross, and
Ric
the
Flair?
whole meme behind
Ric Flair.
Yeah. Or you
My
also
man.
and now you also got AEW, and like you got one of the things is like the thing with Jim Ross that made him so memorable was his ability to make something that is obviously fake and make you want to believe it, and pouring in emotion to make you feel like they're committing a fucking war crime.
That's right.
And you would always have all these clips where people will edit his voice in with the infamous Hell in the Cell Undertaker versus Mankind match, where Undertaker throws Mankind into the floor, and he's all like, "But like God Almighty, they killed him! They've broken him in half!" And I'm just like, what if I tried to be Jim Ross in Alpha Wars? I'll probably never be able to like stack my balls next to him, but like, like I can probably like try to sound absurd and crazy and make things seem a lot bigger than what they actually are. But if I can do that and make the viewing experience a lot more more entertaining, then fuck it, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of taking some commentary aspects from like wrestling, and also kind of watching some other like sports events. Like I'm a huge NFL fan, huge Niners fan.
Yeah.
And just kind of taking commentary bits from different people and kind of thinking like, okay, what's their gimmick that they push? How are they known for what they do? And how do I go ahead and create my own identity within that scope within PlanetSide 2 as a caster?
How do you differentiate? Yeah.
Exactly. So like I would always have all these different sayings that I would say. When there is an orbital strike coming down, I'm like, oh, here we got the sort of Damleys coming down from downtown, the Hail Mary, and then boom, and then something happens. Or something that I really pushed when Desolation was a thing is that whenever you have mass amounts of galaxies coming in, I would say, oh, here they're doing like a tope suicida, which is basically a suicide dive. And it's kind of like you got a whole bunch of dudes dropping in from a galaxy into a hellhole of a donut building where they don't exactly know where every single person's at, and they're literally putting themselves within a kill zone to try to capture a point. So is kind of taking all those different bits and creating my own identity as a caster. Some people like me, some people hate me. It is what it is. It's the internet. I'll just do my own thing.
In a second. I need to intermission for about a minute, and then we'll be right back into people hate you, people love you. How do you integrate what you do into the casting apparatus?
Yeah.
So we'll be back in about a minute and a half. Okay, maybe let's shoot this guy. These guns are really, really powerful. I can't tell if they did that because of me or what, but that was funny. This thing is just so bulky and huge. I ran over. So now I need to bug out. Because I am in trouble. Thanks, George. I actually don't know if this is going to protect me from small arms fire. I've never actually tried. It will. And the NAR is protecting me because I have the accordion shield. Alright, so we're back again. Last off, we were talking about how people hate you, people love you, and then let's get into the details of that StratSide, that PSB cast where you went 15 minutes into talking about the shit.
Yeah.
What was going through your mind? What sort of creative instinct were you acting on?
So, I've always kind of tried to put myself out there, like when we talk about like identities as a caster. I've always tried to put myself there as like one of the more goofy casters. I always feel like there's a unfortunate trope, or I don't know if trope's the right word to use. I actually don't know what the hell that means, but it sounded like it was good to use at the time. Yeah. Like I always feel like there's a lot of monotonous commentary that happens when you have people commentating and casting for PlanetSide 2. And I like to try to break the monotony in different weird ways. One of the ways that I did that last season was by basically going on the Connery subreddit, looking up all the different hype/meme videos that people would post, redoing like intros for certain anime shows. And then they're just like insert like all their different like names and nameplates and tags into the intros and making them sound weird. And I would go ahead and insert those into my cast and pretend like someone hacked into the mainframe and took over my stream for a little bit to do their own little plug.
That was cool. I really enjoyed how you integrated that that part into it. Like, oh my gosh, what the fuck happened? We're back on track. Like that was cool, man. Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah, and something that I wanted to kind of push a little bit more this season was the idea that PlanetSide Battles is sponsored by Nanite Systems. And all the other
like a sponsor spoof.
Yeah, and the other bits that I've done for that have not been as long or as absurd as talking about shit for 15 minutes straight. and basically, like, it's just
at first. I was like, "What are y'all doing? What are you doing right now?"
and I told Trulius and Tree who did the bit with me, I'm like, this is gonna be fucking stupid, but this is gonna let us burn so much time. so
I had guessed it was about burning time. Tell me about that.
Yeah. When it comes to championship matches for the past 2 seasons, I've always wanted to put on like a pre-game show. Last season, it was all about gathering highlights. This season, I only had the amount of brain power and mental facilities to just grab one highlight, call that the caster's choice, and then burn time. And so, one of the things I wanted to do was like, okay, maybe I can go ahead and insert the hacker bit into the Nanite Systems bit. And so one of the things that I regularly listen to, for better or for worse, again going back to like wrestling, as a wrestling fan, very polarizing figure in the wrestling community, Jim Cornette has a podcast, and in his podcast, he will often do commercial bits for people who sponsor his streams. And one such bit was him talking about ExpressVPN. And I was listening to one of the
hear about NordVPN, but keep going.
Yeah, and one of the times he did the commercial for ExpressVPN, I'm like, he's going off on tangents, going off script, talking about taking a shit and how when you don't close the door, it's like going into the internet without having to use a VPN. So I'm like, I will literally just copy paste literally everything he says, and we'll just reenact it, and it'll be totally fine. It'll be super cringeworthy, but it'll be fine. So I basically just went in there and I just took the entire bit that he did, totally didn't plagiarize it, and just inserted, instead of ExpressVPN, I just said Nanite Systems VPN.
Which I think, but when I first saw that, I was like, that was clutch. It was clutch to substitute, like, sponsored by NordVPN to sponsored by Nanite Systems. Any PlanetSide 2 player would be like, fuck, man, that was good. That was good.
Yeah, so like other times we've done things like nanite powder, or this mattress by Nanite Systems, or other things like that. And this one was Nanite Systems VPN, where taking a shit without closing the door is like using the internet without a VPN. Why would you do it? So that entire bit lasted a long amount of time, and looking back at it,
time, dude, it was like 10 plus minutes.
Yeah, no, I knew that going into it, and and I was more so worried about the timing of it. So I just told like Trulius and Tree, like, hey man, if this is going like way too long past like where we want it, like our time cues that we want to hit, I'm just gonna interrupt it immediately with the hacker bit.
Tell me about the timing of it. What about the timing had you worried?
So I actually had a full timeline as far as at what time we need to hit certain things for a pregame show. So we started at 6:40 p.m.
having
Pacific.
that compliments. That's awesome. Keep going.
Thank you. So at the time we wanted to get the stream live at 6:40 p.m. and then we have our 10-minute countdown. The 10-minute countdown again is just to serve as letting people know that, hey, we're going live for this match. In addition to, as well, again, I'm kind of jumping a little bit here, integrating produced music into the cast. One of the things that I did was I made a Outfit Wars on PlanetSide Battles theme song inspired by the NFL on Fox theme song. I just kind of made it into my own thing. And
was that one of the things that you produced yourself?
I produced it myself.
Right on.
And so that would play right before we get into our special thanks slide and our caster introductions and things like that. And then we have 5 minutes allocated to like kind of introducing the casters, get some small talk out of the way. 6:55 is when we go ahead and talk about caster's choice for that season and what we thought was like one of the most Connery moments of Outfit Wars, which was the moment when Fate was going against WTAC and they basically ran into 2 orbital strikes like back to back. which was hilarious. So then after that, then we're like, okay, so then let's talk about the game mode for a little bit. I think I allocated like 3 or 4 minutes for that. And then at like we had it down to like, you know, at 6:58, we're going to go ahead and talk about Nanite Systems VPN, and that should bring us all the way to like 7:10. Okay. And at 7:10 is where we're going to go ahead and like do the intro video that I did with the announcements, with the introductions for Unity and also Viking. And then that video lasts about 8 minutes, which will give us 1 more minute to cover warp gate openers, showing, okay, this is what Viking has at their warp gate, this is what Unity has at their warp gate, and we go right into the match.
So you had prescribed times that you were trying to hit, these mile markers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and throughout the entire day, like, we didn't know what we were doing until we didn't know the timeline until 15 minutes before the stream went live.
That's okay. That's normal. People think that there's this sort of thing is just set for like,
it's
God
not.
mode. Like, this does not happen in that regard. Like, you're talking about people trying to devote their free time to this sort of thing. A lot of variables go into it. Do not expect that this is some sort of multi-POV, like it's established. We had to create this stuff from nothing.
Yeah. The story behind Championship Weekend for my stream was that I was working on it throughout the week whenever I would get off of work at like 10 p.m. fucking tired as shit, just kind of doing whatever I can.
Yep.
And then you know, I try to get as much done as I can on Friday, so that way on Saturday I can go ahead and just chill for the rest of the day. But obviously that doesn't happen. On Saturday, wake up, I work out for like an hour, I come back home, and from like 9 a.m. all the way to 6 p.m. I just worked straight on all the production shit, whether it be like videos, or whether it be like,
that's right,
you know, the Nanite Systems VPN bit, or, you know, trying to like coordinate with like Viking lead or Unity lead for like post game interview, trying to get everyone on the same page and shit. Like, the entirety of Saturday, that specific Saturday, was dedicated to me getting the stream to be as good as I could get it for the championship round.
You're experiencing the same problems that we went through at the same time back in 2014. It was spending as much time as we can to make the production quality as good as we can, featuring, and then we had very limited resources. You seem to have much better resources, and still you came out on top in terms of Nanite Systems. Like, incorporating that stuff to me was genius.
Yeah, and all of the praise for PSB, but the thing is that like I've mentioned before, there's lots of freedom, and around that time, Verundo was really pushing for the PSB production truck, which, for anyone who has watched the multi-cam videos that he would do, he got his own dedicated cameraman crew.
Yeah.
So, and you know, he had his whole setup, like set up the way that he would want to do it, and then I had my own setup that I made like towards the end of the last Outfit Wars that I wanted to use because I was more familiar with it. And so I'm just like, all right, originally I signed up to do Recursion versus FIFA. Then he tells me, hey man, I want to have Zulfer and Eternal do that match, and we're going to use the PSP production truck. And I'm like,
Ruined is saying that, you said.
Yeah, he told me, I hate to be the guy to tell you, but we want to get other people on that match. So I'm like, no problem, no skin on my bones. I took no offense to it, but also at the same time too, I'm like, all right, if they want to take me out of the match, I'll show them why they shouldn't have taken me out.
That's right. You got to represent.
So, yeah. So I that week was very much like, it wasn't negatively vengeful. It was, a lot of it was like, okay, I'm going to show them why that was a bad mistake.
What was that? Which week was that? Give me context.
That was the championship match.
Oh, okay. Unity versus Viking and so on and so forth.
I had waited. I literally stayed up at midnight on Sunday on a work day to just put my name and be all like, I'm taking this match with Eskrinox and Trulius. That's
so you four projected, here's what I'm going to take, here's what I'm going to do, and then when that match came to be, it wasn't even like showing off. It was just presenting why you were a contribution. I guess. Yeah. A positive reason why.
Yeah.
Hey,
for me, it was like a, PSB. They're cool. They got their own setup. My entire setup, I made it on my own. The multicam setup that you see that I have on my stream is different than what they do.
Is that typical? Is it each streamer, each caster comes with their own setup? Yes
and no. So I think it's more or less known with Varunda that I like to do my stream the way that I like to do it. So he'll often be, if he sees my name, he's like, all right, he can do his own thing. He got control of it.
Because you know that when Falco comes to the play, he's got his stuff locked tight.
Yeah. Okay. I like whenever, like especially like whenever I have like new co-casters who I've never worked with, they're all like, this seems way more organized than I would have ever thought. And then I tell them, no, dude, just chill back. I got everything under control. Like you just do you. I'll handle everything else.
It seems very decentralized almost.
It is, but again, it's just one of those things where it's like when you're casting for PSB, they'll let you do what you want. And like that also, that's when we have other casters too who don't exactly have that technological throughput. Like Varunda will tell them like, hey, if you want the PSB production truck, we'll give you the PSB production truck for your cast. Just let us know.
What does that mean? What production truck?
I kind of coined it with Zulfer when we casted an Emerald match. Basically, whenever like professionally, from what I understand, whenever there's like a big event, like a big concert, or like a UFC match, or like a WWE WrestleMania or some sort of bit, you always have all of these production crews. They'll come into like a stadium or like a center to like get this live event going. Okay. And everything feeds back to either one singular production truck or multiple production trucks, where inside of those trucks, they'll have monitors of every single camera angle. They'll have timelines. They have multiple people dedicated to looking at specific cameras.
Okay.
And letting the director know, like, hey, this looks like a good camera angle for you to use. Maybe you should use it.
The director being Varunda in this case?
In this case, it would be Varunda. So then Varunda would be like, all right, I'll show camera 6, or I'll show camera 2, I'll show camera 4. And on his setup, I believe he actually posted it on Reddit. He actually has a preview of every single camera. So that way he can go ahead and view what the stream will see and also what the casters will see.
It's like an FMTP server, if I recall. This one has hit me hard. My bad.
His setup. So the term that you're looking for is RTMP.
There we go. RTMP.
I use an RTMP server.
Okay.
He has a different setup that he uses, which you may or may not remember. I alluded to it in a previous StratSide, talking about in the chat, where I believe that Varunda's setup was inspired by the Chinese cast. So,
yes, I do remember that. What did that mean?
Yeah. So the Chinese cast, I don't know how long they have been doing it, but they've been doing something very similar to it, where they have a dedicated camera crew, then they have a director, and then they have their casters, and they have a very specific, they have like, they showed us a pipeline map as far as like where everything feeds into. The primary people who would tell us about it were Aoki and 404. They're probably more. They are probably Soltech, but
okay.
Their org is called PS2 CPC. I don't know what that means aside from PS2. Maybe it's PlanetSide 2 Chinese production crew. I don't know, but
okay.
But they gave PSB a full like Google Doc as far as how to get everything set up, why it's set up a certain way, some of the features as far as like what you can do with it, some of the fallbacks of it, where areas that you can go ahead and improve it, and ultimately what it will give you in terms of, you know, production quality and also latencies is factored in and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
So they managed to. So with their setup, I think they advertised as low as 3 milliseconds of latency between what the cameras see and what the casters see.
How did they do that?
I do not know. I didn't bother reading through it.
But Varunda did, apparently.
Maybe he did. Again, I don't know for certain if what he uses is actually inspired from what the Chinese team uses, but just kind of based off of what I've seen and based off of
did to some
small
degree, yeah.
bits, the small bits as far as what I've read in their technical sheet, it sounds like he took a decent amount of elements from that.
Yeah. Well, it makes sense. It makes sense because it seems like the Chinese crew developed some sort of consistent rhythm that they could replicate across multiple people, and then Varunda then incorporated that, spread it out amongst you and everyone else.
Yeah. And also, while I'm talking about the Chinese crew, I just want to go ahead and give them a shout out because, like, they had so many technical issues going into Outfit Wars to the point where it was like it was funny. Because everyone would be saying like, "Oh, I want this match, I want this match, I want this match," and then like someone from the Soul Tech crew would be all like, "We don't even know what match we're doing, and we're literally scheduled first out of all the other servers." So, you know, like they get the short end of the stick. I don't think they get a lot of credit. And there was also not
the first to the door is the one who gets cracked first.
Yeah, and they wanted English casters for their matches, and they weren't able to get them because it's at freaking 5 a.m. Pacific.
Okay, gotcha. Did they post it in the place where people would normally do it, like you and me and everyone else?
So they wouldn't stream on Twitch. They have their own streaming website that they have over in like China or wherever it may be.
Oh, okay.
But towards the end,
there's a certain the barrier of entry for there as well.
And total shout out to Frederick, who was able to cast for one of their matches at the very end. I digress anyway. The production for PSB, there's a lot of technical things behind it that
so
people
much, man,
do not know. This was a year in the making, as far as maybe not a year straight in terms of like getting it to work, but definitely like brainstorming happened towards the end of last Outfit Wars when I did their first multicam.
Gotcha. How was it working with the multicam?
Oh fuck! You need to have the mental brain power to do it.
Why is that?
It is.
What happened there?
So for me, because I'm in essence my own production crew, I just tell my co-casters, go ahead, move your observer cam, pretend like I'm always showing you on the stream.
Okay.
I just tell them that's what you're doing. On my end, I have to make sure that I have my server up. Then when my server is up, I gotta go ahead and
you said.
I have my own server at home. Yeah.
All right.
So I have my own, an old computer that I just kind of repurposed as something I can use. It's like a NAS. I use it as a NAS a majority of the time.
Oh, okay.
So that way I don't have to like use Google Drive a lot. But basically, yeah. So I also have an RTMP server on it where basically it'll take. I give someone like an IP to use. I give them a stream key. Then that IP and stream key will designate that stream a specific assignment onto my server. And then what I do on my end is on OBS, I'll open up a VLC video source. I put in the local IP address for my server, and I'll put in their stream key, and I should be able to see their stream. Sometimes it works just like that. Other times, there is a hell of a lot of troubleshooting. And in the case of Trulius's camera, like there are times where like it would work, other times where it wouldn't work. For the championship match, he had upwards of like 20 seconds of latency on his stream, and I had to troubleshoot it like midway through.
Gotcha.
Trying to pretend like I wasn't troubleshooting it. So, a lot of what I have to do is like on the fly. In addition to all the prep beforehand. And it's just and there's a lot of like small details with it too. So it's like making sure everyone's the same FOV, making sure everyone is the same resolution, making sure everyone has the same color in terms of like the nameplating and stuff, making sure everyone has what else? Resolution, frame rate, because you don't want camera transitions to be jarring. So it's just a lot of small
that can
details.
be very distracting at times.
A lot of small details go into it. So in addition to the technical background, there's just a lot of smaller things in addition as well.
Right on, man.
Yeah.
Right on. It sounds like you all have taken this to a whole new level that I want to pretend to understand, but at the same time, you all have exceeded our capacity to think. What we wanted to do, you all have surpassed. I know the wine's getting me a little bit, but I'm super proud of you.
I think
all.
it's getting
like,
to you.
It's insane the level of production value that you all bring to the table. It's awesome.
Yeah. A lot of production, and for me, because I don't think I touched on the produced music enough, because that's my shtick.
Yeah. Classically trained, you said.
Yeah. So I made a lot of music for Outfit Wars this season. So I made the PlanetSide Battles theme song, which they haven't really used too much. They would use it on occasion.
Hey man, you and I are in the same boat. I created my own music too as well, but we didn't even use it because of, I guess, quality issues or whatever. But I feel your pain.
So and making music, as you know, takes a lot of time. And then once you finalize everything, they gotta mix everything, gotta master everything.
Yep.
And that's the biggest pain in the ass. So
gotta make it ready for prime time.
Yeah, I gotta make it ready for prime time. So like a lot of the time, I would have like version 3, version 4, version 5.
You got it, man. You got it.
And then
you and I in the same problems, different generations.
Yeah, and then massive shout out to Casey, who is currently in the chat right now. She was a vocalist that I had for the championship theme
KCD?
Song. Yeah, KCD.
Right on.
She
KCD?
is not. She doesn't play PlanetSide 2, but she's a close friend of mine. She was my go-to choir person or cantor, soloist. Went back when I used to play piano for church. Absolute one of the best people in the world to meet. And
thumbs up, KCD. And appreciate what you did.
And she spent a decent amount of time, working with me on vocals for our championship theme song, which we put in a lot of time into. I kept on telling her like, "Yo, we're gonna get this working within like a month," and then shit would happen. I'm like, "All right, we're gonna push this back to next month, and then next month, and then the next month." The championship theme song, we probably at that point only had 2 weeks to work on it. So got it going, pushed it out. She performed brilliantly in it, and that was definitely a fun song, which is now on Spotify and YouTube and all the other music platforms. Totally not a shameless plug.
It's on Spotify now?
Yeah. So
Good for you, man.
went through
Good for you.
went through DistroKid, got it uploaded and all that jazz. So
congratulations.
Yeah, so there's obviously the video stream production, and then there's the music production, which I don't think anyone else in PSB has really put in too much thought into. So I would do that. There was one thing that I did where at one point when Osher got released, someone had made lyrics for Rel to sing to the Wellerman or whatever it was. And I basically took that and I spent an entire day to time it and pitch it correctly, and then I turned it into a metal song. And then I used that for the Caster's Choice video.
The lengths we go for this.
Yeah, and we're not doing this like for money or not. We're just doing we're doing it for the love of the community and for
love.
Fun.
That's right.
For the love and the fun. So it was Outfit Wars. a lot of like the prep wasn't fun, but it was also like kind of fun. Like it was fun to like get yourself ready for like matches and to think about how to hype them
just
up.
The
and
prep work of it, what goes into it, and then see it unfold in real time as people watch it and enjoy.
Yeah. So like when you got people talking about this is a very cringy moment, I think we're gonna start watching Archie stream to like the transition to getting hacked by Mr. Boobles to then the championship introduction with the outfit introductions, and Rel like actually typing out in our chat saying that he was really digging the intro, which one of my other friends told me. One of my other friends told me out of all of the championship matches that was casted, he only made himself known in that one stream.
Yeah.
Which for me was a big deal.
He was talking about you, but at the end of the day, I don't doubt it, man. I think you killed it.
Yeah. So yeah, it was Alpha Wars.
Right on, dude.
I'm looking forward and also not looking forward to the next season. So
that's right. Hey, it's a love-hate relationship. It was as it was then with me and the rest of us. Alleluia Dotsor, Justicia, the rest of us. Sergeant Mile, who's still with you, Graham.
Yeah.
It seems like there is a cyclical nature where you still feel the same way. There's still a ton of effort put into it to see that little finite piece of where people can see what the end result is, not realizing that iceberg that you put into it's overwhelming. And at the end of it, like, you just want to break. You're doing this for free. You're doing this for fun. And the amount of time you put into it, like, I mean, you could be spending your time many places elsewhere, and this is where you choose to spend it.
Yeah. So,
classically trained biochemist.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
It is wild, man. But, Falco. Yeah. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate this conversation, dude. I'm glad we got to do this on the fly like this. This was rock on, man. I was listening to you as you were doing the Vikings Unity the casting, and I was just, what's your story? Where do you come from? How do you get from where you were to casting this stream? And I'm really excited that we got to talk about it.
Yeah, no. I mean, I always kind of look back at it, where it's like, you know, at one point, here I was, one of my friends was telling me to get on PlanetSide, and I'm like, dude, fuck this game. I'm not really into it. Like, you're just trying to get me into another game, and lo and behold, I'm not going to play it ever again. I get into it. I suck in a decent amount of hours into it. Go from a pleb to now having observer cam privileges on my own personal account. It's kind of wild to think about that. So
yeah, that is wild, man. The sort of trust that is I don't know what the word is, visited or given to you, and then knowing that you have the power to just do these random ass things that can fuck shit up for a while. But yeah, man, rock on for sure. Oof. I'm glad we had this talk. Thanks for talking in the chat, man. That really, especially when I found out that you were the Falco of all.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's always cool whenever I get those kinds of reactions, like, dude, you did a freaking hilarious job or great job, or dude, you're talking about shit for 15 minutes.
You did. I knew you were. I just from one to another, I knew you were eating time. I knew you were chewing up content in order to bridge the gap between where you started and where the actual, like, here's where the casting began. I had a feeling that's what was happening, and I have nothing bad to say about that. Like, you did it, man. You made it happen.
I appreciate all the good sentiments, because I do get some things sent to me sometimes,
as I did as well.
And you know, when you hear that there's an entire outfit that absolutely hates your guts, then you know that it is what it is. But you know, on the flip side, when I have everyone else tell me, like, don't even worry about them, you're doing a fantastic job.
Don't even worry about it, man.
I'll keep doing it.
big picture stuff, you made it happen. Where others might flounder, where others might have that sort of silence that isn't good for casting, you made it work. And I respect it. I stand by it. All these years later, you're making it work. I appreciate it, man. I really do.
I'm gonna hijack the interview for like a couple minutes here.
Sure.
How does it make you feel looking at PSP where it was back then, and then now seeing where it's at?
In some cases, I regret that I left it. I left the community. I left relinquishing the sort of power that it had, which is selfish.
Yeah.
But ultimately, when it comes down to it, dude, I'm fucking impressed. I'm impressed that the thing that we created, that you all took it, you made it better, and like that is what it is that we're doing. We're creating. The wine's getting to me a little bit, but at the end of the day, like the bottom line is, you are continuing the legacy that we started, and you're making it more than what we started out, and that is awesome, man. That is so cool to see that you are building, you are making it new. You're going into new places where we hadn't even dreamed of. It's fucking fantastic, and I have nothing but praise for that. The fact that you're willing to spend time and effort to further this game, even if you don't even know what you're doing all the time. Like, I didn't know what the fuck I was doing all the time either. Like, you think those first few server smashes, just because we've done 50, 75 at this point, that we knew what we were doing? Fuck no. We had no idea what we were doing.
Yeah.
like we were doing something new that we had no idea if it was going to be successful, if people were just going to shit on it all the time. Like, you all are living and exceeding what we ever hoped it would be. And props to you, man. I've got nothing negative to say about that. I keep saying it over and over.
I appreciate it, and I'm happy to hear that you are ecstatic looking at what PSB is now.
Hey, man.
So
there's a quote that I keep hearing all the time. It's, for those that do get out of the way of, it's you are continuous, like the whole 15 minutes of shit thing. Like, sure, I have my feelings about it, but you were making it happen. And if I'm not there to help make it happen with you, I need to get the fuck out of the way so that you can continue to progress and build this game up. Whereas I've stepped aside in many respects. So that's what it comes down to. Props to you, man. Props.
Well, thanks for having me on here also. I mean,
you bet,
we literally just kind of did it live. Took 10 minutes to set it up.
We sure did, man. We did it live. But I'm glad. So this VOD will be up maybe like today, tomorrow, because YouTube has a bit of processing time. So when it pops up, I'll tweet it out, get it as StratSide 13, and then 14 will happen after that. But thanks, man. I really appreciate you coming on and explaining the way things are and the way things have turned out to be. I'm proud of you all.
Thank you very much for having me on here. So, yeah.
Right on. So, StratSide, we approach big concept with as much qualitative data as we can. Today we had on Falco talking about casting real life and how that incorporated into today's PSB and what Outfit Wars has, and how that's facilitated the latest Outfit Wars. Thank you, Falco. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Right on. So I'll go ahead and hit the outro while we talk for a few seconds, and then that'll be that.
All right.
Oh, I can't forget. I keep forgetting to raid. So who's on PlanetSide that I can raid? Winter Gaming currently is doing it, but
yeah,
he's been doing that a lot lately. He's normally a StarCraft player.
Find someone who doesn't have as many viewers.
Yeah. Let's
Yeah.
find someone who doesn't have as many viewers normally. So let's go to the Twitch PlanetSide. And what do we got? Who do we have going on? You see anybody? I see Winter Gaming. I see Lord, Jellos, Royal, Devil, TRB, Uncle.
Let's do Devil.
Devil? Where's Devil?
Why not?
He's okay. Devil to you. Right on, man. All right, so let's go ahead and hit the Devil. Devil to you. I'm a big fan of Twitch's inherent kind of OBS replacement. So we'll start the raid, about 10 seconds, and then we'll... Nice, right on. He's got like a kind of like a multi-POV stream going on here. Good for him. And then we'll hit the raid, and then we'll end it. Thanks everybody for watching.